Very good.
Let me know when you're ready.
Ready?
Good evening, everybody. Today is Thursday, March 1st, time flies, 6:04. We're going to start a work session. And we'll stand, we'll do the pledge of allegiance and get the meeting started. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to honor a moment of silence to honor the military, firefighters, road workers, and sheriff's deputies as they serve our community here in the Rock. Thank you much. Miss Edwards, can we get a roll call, please?
Trustee McLaughlin,
Present.
trustee McGuire,
Present.
trustee Beck. Present.
Okay. So, on the agenda for the work session, first thing is old business, and we did discuss this a little bit in the last meeting, job descriptions. We're in the need to post some jobs, and going over them, they had some age to them, the ones that were there, so, and they answered the wrong people, this, that, and everything, so I did send those out. I did not print them all and put them in the packets, because I did just try to save on cost of paper and printing. I did send them electronically to everybody. So, let's see, let's give me a second here. We may have one particularly we want to start with. There's a few of them.
Start with the administrator.
Okay, that's on top of my list, as it's eight. Okay. Now, I did see another one from another township. I didn't take the time to compare the two. I think I'll pull that up over here. I don't feel like reading that whole thing. Did nobody get a chance to put that over? We're not making it, we're just talking about it during the work session. We'll try to make a decision from the regular meeting, but,
Is that the one that I sent today? Is that the one I sent today?
No, I said I didn't get a chance to compare the two. No, this is not.
Oh, this is the other one.
Yeah, so, let me get on.
I think the one, I think the one that, you initially sent, and then the one that I,
Well, similarity.
had got, yeah, they pretty much had the same thing. The, second one had a little bit more, requirements or qualifications as far as like, certain certifications. That the other one, that was really the only difference.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And, do you remember what certifications that one was?
It
asking
was,
for?
it was pretty much a management, some type of administration, certification like that, yeah. So it wasn't, I haven't actually seen it before, I actually had to look up the initials. It was it's some kind of management, some kind of management, certification, that it had on there. Remember what it was, Tracy? It was IM something. I have to look. I meant to bring my laptop, but I forgot.
I'm not paying that wage. Let's see here.
Where's my mail?
In any of either of your discussion, did you plug in a number for this position?
Well, yes and no, it's been discussed, but not actually finalized, or it would depend a lot on the qualifications. I'm not gonna tell them I'm gonna pay them, 40,000 and then not worth that amount of money. But you have some input on that? You get a price tag here?
I'm looking at the experience, it's kind of an issue that I see with all the job descriptions. Who put this together? Is this you or she?
Whatever it doesn't matter.
I don't know who wrote it.
It was, I just, what was there? Who wrote it back in 17?
Okay,
The job description, so we're just going over whether that fits the criteria we're looking for or not.
to me, the one thing you've got under the responsibility
Are we talking about the administrator still?
administrator, yeah. Okay, this position has no direct supervisory responsibilities. To me, a township administrator, that's a very unorthodox way of doing things, and I think you're gonna have a lot of applicants questioning that. Because you've got almost all the other job descriptions reporting to you.
Those are roads. I move the roads.
So, we've dealt with problems with that before. So if an administrator needs to dispatch a staff member to go deal with something, and he can't get a hold of you, that interrupts the process. So, but I also think, if you threw the number 50,000, just having 2 years of government leadership experience, I think you're gonna have trouble seating an administrator at that price. At full time. Well, there's one way to find out.
Well, it just depends on, like you all said, the qualifications, the experience. It's all based off of that. From just looking at what the previous administrator was making, we don't want to go anywhere near that. I think a price should be based off of those qualifications, experience and qualifications. Because even if somebody has a bachelor's degree, that doesn't mean that they've even worked in government. Or they could have worked in government and had an associate's degree. Sometimes people's experience outweigh their credentials.
Okay.
So it just depends on, hopefully they'll get a lot of applicants, but it just kind of depends on that. most people will look at the pay before they, if we say we want to start you at 30,000, not too many people are gonna jump on that.
Right.
And for administrator, I'd be very surprised, 50,000 part-time maybe, but not.
Right, yes.
But the other thing is, okay, let's look at issues where residents were upset with Wolf. Okay, do we want an administrator of the township to be somebody that's a little bit more, okay, if you're not gonna give them management responsibility for stuff, then should this job description be somebody who's more of a sales guy, somebody who can be a cheerleader for the township and handle the interpersonal stuff and take care of that? And somebody that's gonna be sitting by a desk waiting to pick up the phone. The other thing is whether or not we want somebody with a legal background in administrator position. If we're around to pay a little bit more, then offset some of that with trying to find somebody with a JD background to deal with that too.
Well, you know, we have a legal team, we have legal questions, and we just ask people downtown.
I'm just throwing an idea out there.
Well, and you made the comment about the leading the township and doing all that. One of the issues we had with Wolf, and I've heard plenty of residents say, is the fact that he had too much control and too much power, had his fingers in everything in the township, and I don't want that to happen again.
Well, some of that falls on the trustees to follow up and make sure things are getting done. So that we have to be more accountable when we assign somebody to do certain things as far as following up and not just giving people all these tasks and expecting that they're done. And then realizing that when they're not done, it might be too late. So that's a shared, that's kind of shared right there.
The other thing is the job description needs a strong human resources background, because I know from talking to Lynn Roberts, I know from talking to Wolf, a lot of their workday is consumed by fire personnel issues that they have to get involved with. Now, I always thought that with the administration that we have on the fire side, Wolf shouldn't have to be getting involved with a lot of it, but he still did. So that's a consideration.
Well, just looking at various job descriptions and talking to trustees and administrators and other townships, that's kind of like across the board. Even on many of those, at least a few of the job descriptions I looked at, it said that administrator would at least need to have knowledge of all the responsibilities that we have to cover. It specifically says most of those in the job description. Says you need to have some knowledge of the fire department, the road department, zoning code. And honestly, I think Lynn did that as well as Steve.
But still, what I'm saying is in that job description, the administrator should have a strong HR background.
Okay, yeah.
I guess there should be more emphasis. I guess we need somebody that people like to interact with, because I didn't like interacting with Wolf. But also can handle some of the HR issues. But again, I think the administrator shouldn't have been bogged down with all the administrative stuff that came over from fire. But it's also a difference, you've got an department of 40, 50 employees, so you're always gonna have issues.
Tell me about it. Yeah, in the job description, I just think that we need to be more general than to confining to a certain, because some of the stuff he might not do, or it might be that little caveat that says other assignments as needed. that always serves a great purpose, because everything will depend on whatever candidate you get,
Yeah.
because there might be some stuff that
Well,
they can do.
first thing comes to my mind there is their ability to find themselves an assistant and their ability to sit at the front window and get us some reaction. And you know, when you first do that, there's not gonna be anybody there, but slowly over time, and that's one of the complaints we've had for years, is no, at least for a year, is nobody's at that front window. So as the duties as assigned, whoever he or she's in here, they can sit up in the front maybe. I mean, it's just something, maybe not, I don't know. Thought. It might make them quicker to find an assistant.
I think that, personally, I think the job descriptions, are pretty accurate. They pretty much are on spot with one another, just a couple of things is different.
Well,
The wording is different.
Are we still talking about administrator, or are you talking about everything else?
I was talking about the administrator, before we
Okay.
move on, we need to finalize that.
you know, acknowledgement, this position can be changed at any time by the board of trustees. You know, so it does have flexibility in it, that if we find that there's some verbiage in there that's not working or whatever, it's,
I had sent an email to the attorneys to see if Jefferson, and maybe you guys might know this answer, I asked the attorneys, is Jefferson an at-will employer? Because the state of Ohio is, but I'm not sure if, because I've seen a job description that says at-will on it. I actually think I sent it to you right before,
yes.
earlier today. It said on that position at-will.
Doesn't this one say that?
Yeah, I think it's,
I saw the.
Yeah, at will employment.
yeah, that's the one, that I said.
Why?
And that was, from Miami Township. They sent me that, so I tried to stay with the township, some
Okay,
townships
so,
are bigger than the others, but shouldn't be too much more difference.
If you wanna go to the one you got there from, the one there I make, I don't know where I got it from now, but I surely didn't print the thing up from word to word myself, but it's been copied and pasted from someplace else. We'd have to touch this up, you know, of course, take your name out and all that, and then bounce. It's the,
Jim, did you see the one from Miami Township I sent?
You know, about regional dispatch fees or something.
No.
There was an email chain, looks like they were trying to negotiate a payout on something, but it didn't have anything to do with us, but we were copied in it. Everything I have is Miami Township dispatch.
That's it. Oh, does it say dispatch? Oh, you know what? It was two of them. We should have gotten, because initially he sent one and then he sent another one and said, oh, this is an updated one. Maybe I didn't send that. Did Jim's name on there? On that email?
You know, Brian Garver's the last one, about 5:30.
Yeah. Or did I send it to you twice?
you said, yeah, you said to me twice, let me forward out.
Sorry about that. The McLaughlin, McGuire, hey.
For some reason, it's not letting me forward it, Jim, I'm trying to forward it to you here, love it.
What is it, another job description?
Yeah, the administrator, yes.
Yeah, it's Ron has, from Miami Township, sent me a copy, and it was, it's the most updated version. Might be this room.
Try to do it again. That might be the issue.
So were you guys thinking of adopting the Miami Township version of this tonight? A home rule? Township administrator job description?
Well, we wanted you to look at it, so you're aware of what it says. You just, cause we need to
So
get
what
it
did it say,
posted.
now I have a subscription to Office, and will let me do it.
Can you open it up and just let him see it?
Yeah. I got it open.
Is it a charger you got in there?
Hmm?
Is that a charger? In your laptop?
No, it's a hard drive,
Oh.
external hard drive.
Glad you was able to get that letter switched over. I'm glad you was able to get the letter switched over. This one. So do you have this?
This version cleaned up, I'd be more comfortable with it. If you put a vote to the other one, I would vote no.
Okay.
So,
When you say clean up,
I don't like the language in that first copy, so I'm a no on it.
okay, so that one right there, when you say cleaned up, what do you mean? What means, I mean, of
Basically,
course,
just
we have
forget
to.
the
You gotta remove the home rule,
Okay.
the description, that's a home rule township.
It will not.
Okay.
So, the powers of their administrator are a little bit different.
Okay, let me write it down as you go along. Okay. And then home rule, okay,
We'll pass it, and there's a copy. We'll
Okay.
talk about it, but that's, you want to.
and what else did you say, Jim?
I mean, I'm not gonna go through it line by line right now.
Okay, well, do you wanna go through it and then, after, I mean, you can probably go through it, when do you think you can get through it? And then just let us know, cause we need to go ahead and get that position posted.
So you are gonna post the job?
Yeah? Because if we don't get something tonight, then we would have to wait till next meeting. We have to get this posted.
Yes, along the others.
Because both Mike and I, have been kind of taking on a lot of stuff that the administrator should most likely be doing. And, roll calls, assistant fire chief roll calls. board session on one day and do the meeting on another, so that way you have time to review your stuff. But hopefully, when we get in the administrator, and we can get the agenda and stuff turned in on Friday. And, be able to read everything, be prepared for Tuesday.
I think if you advertise the job with pretty much what's on page 1 of this document, I would sign off on that. I mean, that's something, the rest of that, we can get it ready for when we start talking to candidates.
Right.
Declare that, because basically, anybody in the business knows what a township administrator does. So, I guess, are you wanting to advertise for somebody with 5 years' experience? And do you think we can afford somebody with 5 years' experience?
Well, that's true. I think we advertise it and see what we get. Might want somebody to do 5 years, that might want to work, that have 5 years' experience, but said, right now, I'll do it full-time, but at some point, I want to go part-time, and that might make up the difference.
Yeah, and then also you've got, and then you also have, then you also have people that don't have 5 will apply anyway. It might say 5, and they'll have 3, and they.
Well, if you advertise it both ways, we might be able to get a retiree hire type person who is willing to work for lesser of a wage, because the way you've got that structured and with the money you want to offer, that's probably the candidate that might be willing to take the job.
That's true. I mean, I just look at Lynn Roberts. He was getting paid way less than what he should have been paid with the experience that he had and qualifications. But he was making what he was making, and I don't think nobody would have ever thought he would have accepted that position.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how high a threshold you want on the advertisement. So, yeah, I mean, this version of, now on.
Okay. So it sounds like you're okay with the Miami Township version, if we remove the home rule and go in there, okay. Okay, you all right with that,
Okay,
Mike?
so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, next one, code enforcement. So that's a part-time position, always has been. 12 to 28 hours a week. You guys get a chance to look at that one?
There we go. I think, I like I guess after going through a couple of people sitting in this job, I like having them separate, but it's gonna come into what we can get the position on, get the candidate we want and has qualified, but also meet their salary demands. We might have somebody that can do both, willing to do both, or whatever, so it presents us an issue on how to advertise it, but
So would that be a full-time position when you say bring those together?
I'll tell you, one thing with the code enforcement, it's been a neglected piece for the trustee. It's the biggest source of our complaints. I personally think we need to figure out a way to fund a full-time code enforcement position. If that's all they do, all they worry about. We've tried the hybrid approach twice, it didn't work. I think residents are gonna be looking for something that's gonna change the appearance of the township. And I just don't think part-time code enforcement's gonna satisfy the public's expectations of what they want the community to look like.
I think your job can be in part-time. If the person works part-time, it can be done part-time.
I don't know. I'm kind of perplexed about that. I don't think, so the last few code enforcements were all part-time? Were there any full-time code enforcement officers?
Well, we had one, and we had both those jobs ended up becoming partially funded by roads to satisfy income requirements to get the employees, so we had to have, it was supposed to be a shared, I think it started off as a part-time position, but then it quickly evolved into a full-time position, and it's just pretty much the curb appeal of the township has not reflected a lot of code enforcement.
Well, let's say it like this. I think because we have such a backlog of our code issues that I think Justin was trying to do the both. At one time, he was trying to do both, part-time. But there's such a backlog, perhaps if we hired somebody starting out full-time, and then once we caught up with the backlog, then take them down to part-time. That, to me, that makes sense. Because I just heard about the pig and the hog and all that today, and then other reports of trash being dumped at one place and out in another area. And these haven't even, what is it, the yellow bus? That issue is still ongoing. I mean, just those things are